Today, I want to talk to you about the body and your posture as a tool for manifestation. I'm Avery, Virginia. I'm a spiritual intuitive who provides readings and spiritual mentorship to help people expand their understandings of themselves, connect deeper to the spiritual world, and gain more joy and clarity in their life. And I want to start with the body. So, I was actually watching a workshop with Tony Robbins, a free one this weekend, and it was just, it reminded me of something I thought about sharing and then forgot. And I've been doing a lot of work on my neck and my posture because, our lifestyle has started to make me hunch over. As an empath, there's a tendency to sort of put yourself on guard. I even had a friend tell me that someone told her, if you want to block energy, cross your arms and go like this. And as someone who's walked around like that for many years of my life, I can tell you it did not block much energy, but there was maybe something comforting about it. But I want to talk about as I shifted that. And I worked on dropping the shoulders, opening the chest, and standing in a more commanding posture as I walked around. Now, this is a somewhat masculine posture, and of course, just as a side note, I don't mean male or female. I just mean the traits we typically associate with masculine and feminine is just an association, right? I started to embody that, and there's something really profound happened. I realized I started to witness the world differently, right? Now, of course, there's this idea we stand like this and people are going to see you different because you're standing up straight. I'm like, but I became aware, and in yoga, there's things called mudras, which is the way you hold your hands, right? And you might have seen some of them in different positions or in meditation. And so there's a belief and an understanding, something that I definitely believe, that shapes, obviously colors, lines, everything creates certain energy styles. They're coding for energy, if you will, right? A great cathedral with its dramatic lines creates a certain feeling, whereas a cozy little hobbit house with all of its curved lines creates a different feeling. None of them are bad or wrong, right? All the, kind of bland square shapes and, just white walls everywhere and beige everything creates a very certain energy. And we think it's just because of the aesthetics, but I bet if you close your eyes and you felt in, you would feel something in that space defined by those shapes. Our body is not different. So when I started to stand taller, my normal self would kind of perceive someone almost from the inside. And I realized, my shoulders were hunched. There's almost a bowl here. I'd never thought about that before. I'm shaping my body like a bowl. And that is asking to absorb from without, right? And to take in the emotional content like water and to hold it there. But if I stand up, I'm projecting out. I'm projecting my energy out rather than absorbing other people's energy. And I was interacting with someone that I'd seen many times, and I saw them differently, right? I saw them without my own emotional, almost mimicking the empath moment. I didn't become them. I actually witnessed how maybe, just the little mannerisms of discomfort that they might have had in that moment, or, kind of joy and ease. And I had seen this person many times before. So it seemed strange that I knew those things, I had seen them, but it was like I experienced them without repeating and reflecting them, which as an empath, something that's really hard for me to do. Someone kind of absorbs and reflects my environment for whatever reason. It's a highly sensitive person or whatever is going on up there in my brain and nervous system. And being an empath is very, very helpful for me in my work because I can immediately tune into emotion and describe them with words in a way that people haven't heard, and they feel very seen. So it's not something I would get rid of. But walking around in it all day doesn't allow me to be my own spiritual light. It allows me to reflect people back to them. And that's not what's always needed. More often than not, it's not really what's needed unless I'm being very intentional about it. And so the body is a tool for saying, this is how I'm going to be. Now, coming back to what I was saying earlier, I was listening to this Tony Robbins thing, and he was saying, and Tony Robbins is this big life coach man, and he's actually great. He has a lot of similar things to a lot of other spiritual teachings, just in a different format. And, he's saying, walk in this strong, commanding body, which makes so much sense. And as I was doing that, it was a certain energy that I felt. I'm holding my chest up and my shoulders are proud and all of these things. And also my lines are straight and firm and all of these things, very, very masculine and empowered. But I realized there's not a lot of guidance on the soft, at ease body type, right? So if we're wanting to create more ease and joy, but not from being collapsed and overwhelmed by life, then what is the posture for that, right? What is the body shape for that? So I would imagine, right, your chest is still up, your heart has an invisible string, but it's not being held up by sheer strength of your body, which of course it is, your muscles are involved, but it's not in this forced way where you're almost kind of owning so much space. You soften. Your chest is lifted like the sky, the heavens are pulling your heart up towards it, and your neck is soft and your lines move, and your movements are not necessarily assertive, but they are confident, but they're at ease, right? You float, your feet float a little more. What kind of things do you think would be reflected back at you? Now, I'm not saying one is better than the other. I'm just saying we don't talk as much about that one. So let's think about it, because there is a time where I need to walk in with that confidence, with that assertiveness, where I want to be my warrior self. I have that in me. But I also realize so many of the things that really motivate me are about being a warrior, and they're about my masculine, and they're about doing and accomplishing. And then the other side is the feminine of being a little bit like, okay, feel all your feelings, but it's sort of being overwhelmed by the feminine. And I want the confident, at ease, spiritually knowing feminine embodiment in me. And I want to be able to dance between the two for when they serve me. A workout is a really good time to bring that other one. If I need to have a meeting, I need to go to the bank. I want to take on, I want to exude a certain energy. I want to make sure no one feels that I'm not worthy of something. I'm going to stand like this. But more often than not, at least in my embodiment, I want to stand in my ease. So what's interesting is the way that your position is going to change your voice. Another frequency, another certain frequency. Sound has a specific frequency. And so if I lift my chest up to the heavens and I soften my shoulders, but my arms are more like water than they are tree limbs. And there is just a softness about me, but I'm still lengthened. I'm still taking up my space. My voice is going to change. My thoughts are going to change. I am the radio tuner, right? I'm the singing bowl, because that's an easier one for understanding how shape changes sound. I'm the instrument. And the universal frequencies are matching my instrument. So if you sit collapsed in your meditation, what's going to happen? Now, there's a time where I need to collapse. There's no wrong posture, wrong body, but if I'm always collapsed, do not be surprised. I should not be shocked that I don't feel a lot of control over my life. I have this wonderful friend, and we would go to a sweat lodge together, and I would sit, and I was laughing at this the other day, in the heat, my body wants to relax, and so I'm not shaming myself for this by any means. I wouldn't shame myself really for anything on purpose, right? But I would just melt into the mud. I just become one with the sweat dirt in there. And she would sit like a goddess angel, up, hands out in her mudras, spine long. My spine melted into a puddle. I didn't have a spine anymore, so I couldn't sit like that. I'm sure if I was more aware of it, I couldn't. She said that someone told her that how you hold your body is going to be how you experience that experience. And I've thought so much about that. And then there are meditations where I will lay down, because what I need is full surrender. I need to let go. I need to let go of my identity, my body, myself, and I float off. And they're a very specific frequency, more of a dreamlike state in between that can be very, very restorative. But they're very rarely, very rarely the most expanded energy where I get into this altered state where I feel that I'm commanding something to me, because sitting up, the straight spine and an open heart is going to command frequencies to you. What your mind is focused on, your body is also calling into you. And again, it's not about this unless you need that, unless you want warrior energy, but it can be about this, right? So how is this all a tool for manifestation? Well, the energy that's running through you is helping to affect the thoughts, and the thoughts are helping to affect the energy, and the posture is a representation of the thoughts, but if you control the posture, it's going to affect the energy and the thoughts, all of the things cycling. So therefore, your frequency changes. Now, in a very kind of materialistic view, the response to the world changes. People respond to different styles of standing and posture in very, very different ways. Very different ways, right? Because we are aesthetic, we are visual, but I would say more than we know, people are responding to energy whether they know it or not. And so, if you're walking in trying to do this, but you're terrified, it's going to help a little bit because at least you're making an effort to step out of terror and not let it define every aspect of you, but they still might be aware that you're terrified. But again, the effort to say, I won't let it define my structure, my shape of me matters, right? So another thing, just a bonus of this, being aware of your body is going to bring you into the present moment. It's going to bring you into the present moment, and there is no greater power than being right here, right now, and also being intentional about the right here, right now. No greater power. So, people think manifestation, they think something very, very specific, but what I mean is creating a life that mimics the energy of how you want to feel and be and who you want to be. So I'm sure we can have a lot of fun saying if you want to manifest something really specific, like what kind of body style would you have, right? If you want to manifest a car, well, what do you need to do that? What's lacking? So do you need more confidence at work to get a raise? Or you're going to walk like this. Someone who's got a car, who can get there, right? You want to manifest love, then you better walk around like a movie character, right? And I don't mean falsely, I mean walk around in love with life, see the beauty, open that softness, or if you want to be the confident, assertive person in that setting, then do that, right? But also still walk around like somebody who's adored. If you don't know what that is, try to imagine what you feel like and notice what your body does, and then repeat it, repeat it, repeat it. Shapes, angles, lines, the way we breathe, the sounds we make are all manifestations of our frequency, but they are also ways to cultivate frequency because it works both ways. It's like we create our spaces around us, our rooms, based on the energy we're in, but if we clean the room, it changes the energy we're in, right? But if we don't lastingly change and cultivate a different energy, we'll always go back. So you have to be aware. But opening the body creates awareness. Staying in the body creates awareness, and I imagine when you drift off in thought and you start to get worried, you are gonna lift your heart up to the sky. Let it see the world. Be open. You do not need to shut down like this. Now, if you want to block an energy, if you are really, really empowered in your softness, you can walk in softness because you know the whole universe loves you and you don't need to worry about them. But when the energy is really intense, you don't necessarily want to shut down. Now, there may be a time and space where you do that, and that's okay. But I encourage you to see if you can dominate your own frequency, at least your own field, right? And that may be that more strong posture and say, no, I don't need to take on this from someone else. I am the dominant energy in my energetic field at this moment. What I'm going to receive from my environment is information and content, but it will not define who I am in this moment. So take some of these tips, try them out. Let me know what you think. Let me know if you have some better tips, right? This is a sharing space. I'd love to hear from you. And I'd love to know how this works for you. Maybe if it didn't work for you, let me know so I can go deeper and figure out what's going on and get some deeper insight. Again, I'm Avery, Virginia. Please feel free to message me or reach out or check my website if you'd like a reading about your own energetic field and what's going on there and how you can cultivate it to create what you want in your life or how to connect more spiritually. Like, follow, subscribe, whatever you got to do.